Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
As you can see, we've changed chairs for once. We had to confuse you.
And due to votes in the polling, the the content of RPG horror stories has been decided.
Yay!
So here we have three horror stories. So
It's my first time seeing these. I've actually never read a D&D Reddit horror story thing before.
so
I don't, like, I only go into Reddit for, like, the French subreddits, and by that I mean, like, all of them. Like, fantasy on occasion, and I think a few other creative writing ones, and for posting videos, and the Tolkien fans and Conan stuff. But I don't actually really go into these. But on the other hand, we're going to have some 3.5 and maybe some Forgotten Realms uh, source book and Dragonlance source book stuff that I'm going to want to do soon, anyways.
and how this will go is that we'll read the story,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have our reactions, our
And,
thoughts, and how we would resolve the situation.
okay. Okay.
All right.
As
So
you guys can see, Dan's taking the lead on these videos. Maybe even on the source book videos, you'll end up taking the lead. So,
All right. The first story would be by user slash VBR2. Problem player goes on a suicide missions to kill the enemy alone and dies. Creates a new character and repeats the process.
sorry, I shouldn't be already laughing, but this is just, oh my gosh, you seriously did that?
Some backstory. My party has 5 players and the campaign has been running for around 3 years, which is a pretty impressive length.
Yeah, yeah.
We only play once a month, schedule issues.
Mm-hmm.
Around 1 year ago, the party was doing missions for a noble family, the Observes. They wanted to ascend as rulers of the main city. After the party helped them achieve their goal, they found out that the Observes family leader was actually working for the big bad evil guy of the campaign. But now they already were the town rulers and faced no opposition thanks to the party. The party decided to leave town and return later, stronger and with some allies to try and fix things. Only the warrior was against this plan, so he told the party he had to get some important stuff before leaving town and told them to wait for him by the city gate.
Mm-hmm.
He went alone to the Observed family house and asked to speak to the leader of the family, an old lady. As soon as he saw her, the player said, "I will attack her." I, as a DM, made very clear to him that he was surrounded by family's guards and the party was far away. I even gave him the classic, "Are you sure about that?"
Yeah, yeah. Now, in our campaigns, I think I've typically GM'd quite a few. Although non-D&D and Star Wars stuff, you tended to do a lot of GMing. But the "Are you sure" thing, like, remember the semi-fantasy Roman fantasy, well, multiple generation campaign we had going a while back, and that we're hoping to start up again. How many times would I do the "Are you sure about that"? And I've never met a GM who didn't do the "Est-tu certain à propos de cela?" or "Are you sure?" And whenever anyone says yes, they always live to regret it.
Yeah.
But Observes is such a really bad name. Like, come on.
Where's the
Oh, yeah. But he had made his mind, so the warrior kills the old lady in her house. Oh my gosh. With a critical hit, surprise attack. The guards were not fast enough to stop the attack, but they attacked and killed
the
the warrior shortly after.
after?
The warrior, now dead, never appeared at the gate, so the rest of the party just left the town without him. I told the player to create a new character. He decided to create a cleric that was the mother of the deceased warrior and was looking for her missing son. I found it to be a pretty interesting concept. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, with a bunch of roleplay possibilities. So I allowed it. During this last year, the party have been going on adventures on the countryside and it was great, but the day finally came to return to the main city.
Oh, no.
It has been 2 months in game time. As soon as the party arrived at the town, they went to the Observed's house. The party does not know about the murder, even though the players do know they are good players, so no metagaming. As they arrive, they see a lot of guards, 3 times the amount they had before. They are received by the family's butler that invites them for breakfast as a peace offer. The butler informs the party about the murder attempt and tells them the family leader survived, but she is still recovering, so he has been ruling in her name. This is meant as a whole plot to find out if she is really alive or if the butler just took the power after her death.
He took the power. The cleric asks about her son. The butler tells her the warrior was killed. So the cleric decides to jump over the table and attack the butler. Oh my gosh. Getting me completely off guard again. After this, I had to stop the session. I had no combat stats for the butler nor the guards, and I really don't know what to do now. I don't want to kill the player's character again. It is his fourth character already. Just do it. After the session, the cleric player messaged me saying, "That's what my character would do. Sorry if it made you upset." Edit. The rest of the party was not aiding the cleric. It was instead trying to stop her without using violence, but nothing worked. They tried confusion and command, but both failed. They really were trying to avoid combat, but the dice did not help. Okay, you know what? Just kill the character.
Exactly, and probably have a frank discussion with the player.
Yeah, like, stop messing with his family.
Yeah. Problem player gets bored, hijacks group.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we might have a similar situation as the last one. So last year I put together a D&D campaign for my local venue. It has a lot of casual and new players, so I got a lot of interest. I soon had 5 regulars, all new to the game. The one thing I was really clear on with everyone was that the campaign was a long one, 2 years. I asked if everyone was happy with that, and stressed they could drop in and out at any time.
I remember doing that.
A few sessions in, a new player asked to join. Right off the bat, I noticed some behavioral issues with him. He'd say awkward and uncomfortable things, but I've had a lot of experience in diffusing this and handling less socially skilled players. When I told him that he was welcome to join, the venue organizer pulled me to one side and told me to keep an eye on him, as he'd had issues with previous groups before. I figured it was just the stuff I'd already mentioned. Okay, so
Fast forward to this year, everyone was getting along really well. Problem player was really acting good, and the group had even put together a second campaign they were playing on another day. Oh, that's good. The second campaign was DM'd by one of Problem Player's friends who's new to the game, and the two were very close. We were halfway through this big campaign, and I was careful to make sure everyone knew how they were progressing. But a few months ago, Problem Player started to act up more and more, making argumentative in-character comments to other PCs, and generally acting as if he was bored of the campaign. I'd given him the same warnings at the start as everyone else, but it was a longer campaign, and he could drop in and out as much as he wanted. So after one session where he really just sat on his phone throughout, I asked him if everything was okay, and he said it was. Anyway, a week later I get a message from him. He tells me that he feels the campaign isn't going anywhere, and he's going to drop out. That's fine. I have no problem there. But then this message continues. He says that he's spoken to the GM of their other campaign and are moving to the same day as mine. He goes on to say that he's invited all the other players to join it. Now, because both campaigns included mostly the same players, this meant that pretty much all of them had to choose which campaign to play, which really upset me. The players who had become good friends with Problem Player and the DM naturally went along with it, but this left 2 remaining players and myself. I've honestly never seen someone do this in all the years I've been playing, and really it just felt so terrible, not just to me but to the other players as well. Frankly, I'm still super angry about it, but I've learned in future to do short campaigns for newer players, always. Yeah, good point.
This is a really unfortunate situation, and
it happens. I've had it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing really you can do, but
on the other hand, longer campaigns are more for experienced groups, or we've had some people with moderate amount of experience, and I've done long campaigns with them. We've technically done 2 of the same group for the most part. But the worst thing that happened in any campaign for us was when a player passed away. So that's a different scenario. So we had to go recruit another player, not because we wanted him replaced, but because we didn't have enough players after that. But But we did have the blessings of the player who passed because, well, yeah, he was of a mind that like the campaign I was starting had him in mind for it. He dropped out due to health issues, and he encouraged us to pick up another player, and that was a terrible situation. So this is not much fun either. Like honestly, like
The only thing
this problem player was a jerk to him
the
and did it on purpose.
the only silver lining is that
He
you
doesn't-
found out who are the players that are going to stick around.
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
Last one. The one with the romantic RP gone wrong.
I hate including romance in in campaigns. We're doing an intergenerational one, so there is some romance, but I try to keep it at minimum and almost more clinical, I think, which has led some players to just go, "Wow, this is the most boring aspect of the story." The most interesting is just the actual adventure and politics. But yeah,
I'm probably the bad guy here, but I was fed up, and since I've become a dad, I saved my maturity points for my dad husband worker behavior, and it's barely enough.
oh boy.
I play one-shots or short campaigns on Discord. I can't commit any more than that, and I can't spare more than 3-4 hours a week, so I try to keep things light.
That's reasonable.
In the server I'm in, there's this guy. Let's call him...
Angel Cakes. We'll call him Angel Cakes. Everyone can see the word here. Yeah.
that always played the horny bard regardless of the class he chooses.
Oh, boy.
And always tries to start romance with another PC.
Well, I have nothing against romance, and I wouldn't outright lose my stuffing if others do ERP. ERP?
Erotic roleplay.
Ugh, no thanks.
Though I'd never partake.
I really dislike how Angel Cakes goes about it. It usually starts with him making a suboptimal, nothing against that, naive, but somewhat est character, usually described as you would an underage person. Okay, this is getting very uncomfortable. Then he picks the PC he wants to romance, and he adjusts his character's gender identity to match. Then he'll take so he wants to be the opposite gender of the person.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he'll take every RP second available to either interact with the PC or to describe the feelings of infatuation for the PC. Oh my gosh. He'll then either win and manage to have a romantic scene with ERP or not with the player and then bail out of the campaign next session. Or he'll lose, be rejected, and make an in-game scene and either suicide his character or have it leave the party somehow. So it always ends with the culmination of his imposed romantic arc. Some players just let him do his thing and leave. Some don't allow him to play. Something in between. Okay, what's in between? Like, they have the scene, then they dump him and drive his character to suicide? Is that it? Like, if so, okay. But, like, okay.
And then there was me, the a-hole. You see, while Angel Cakes used the player and characters for his own kinks with no care in the world, he's rather mild, soft, with the tone. If he does ERP, it's not very graphical. It's like an embarrassed, toned-down version of those cheesy erotic novels with the shirtless guy on the cover. So what I did is, when I learned he targeted my Minotaur cleric in the current short campaign we're playing, I played along. I welcome his transgender. He rolled a dude and adjusted to my male Minotaur.
Okay, so
Elven Ranger's advances.
So you have a homosexual character and a Minotaur. Well, a homosexual Elven Ranger. Oh boy.
It was all very cute and timid and blah. I just let it happen. And when the time came to have our scene, I went bananas. I was very graphic, very explicit, very ungentle. The rest of the party and DM laughed as I described that from their tent they could hear what sounded like a big Minotaur being repeatedly slammed against it. And Angel Cakes called me an a-hole in tears and left the call. Then he reported me and I was suspended for a day, which is basically a token punishment, and Angel Cakes demanded a written public apology.
Why? He did what you wanted.
I wrote one and made sure to include every detail so that everyone knew what happened. Then the memes and the jokes started pouring, and Angel Cakes left the server. His friends in the server called me out for being petty and childish. I agreed, and things kind of moved on. The DM of the campaign described next session that when I woke up next morning, the elf was gone and her belongings, and left a sour note saying goodbye, as Angel Cakes would have wanted it to end. So there's horror all around. I will say this, that the person who played the player character here, I would not call him an a-hole, because
he was in the right.
He took things to logical extreme, and Angel Cakes, who was so focused on ERP with his kings and tried to push this romance, and this guy took it to the next level. And for Angel Cakes to take it so personally...
Yeah, Angel Cakes was just... Like, this sort of thing... let's be honest. Now, I've kind of had this happen in one of the campaigns I GM'd. And I remember not being terribly impressed. It was not exactly this sort of situation. I never allowed ERP. But it was more someone imposing their wishes on the campaign regarding kind of romance. And it was... Yeah. The player eventually stomped out, and you basically just said, okay, can I get all the loot and their rank? Because they're a noble woman. And it was pretty funny.
And the problem here is that most times DMs, when it comes to in-game romance, they prefer to fade to black. This guy wants the Angel Cakes wants the chase, and then when it comes to the end, they want to fade to black.
Well, sort of. He was describing a bit of the scene, and most of the players didn't want that, and this guy just
decided, you know what?
I'll get even more explicit than him, and I'll get I'll use the word brutish here to be polite. And yeah, of all these stories though, let me see. I think this one's my favorite. The one with the
suicide mission.
Yeah, I like it.
We've met players who like to kill off their own characters, which if you're looking for longer term story arcs, these players might not be compatible with such.
Yeah. I'm giving this guy a vote up because
he really gave the Angel Cakes what he wanted, and then...
Well, yeah, he just simply did what he was told, and it's just Angel Cakes couldn't take it. So in more than one way.
So Angel Cakes left the server. Everyone can now RP in peace.
But that poor Minotaur to receive a Dear John letter like that poor Minotaur. Like, hey, what are you going to do? But anyways, hopefully the next D&D video will be something rather more, maybe something about 3.5. I would like to crack open the source book and just start reading the source book bit by bit, starting with the lore and whatnot, and where we just explore that for like 5 minutes, and these would be short videos, and we just explore for 5 minutes a video, just the lore and what the paragraph describes. And we'd start with the player's handbook, maybe move to the monster manual and maybe we should start a little with a bit of the monsters manual every week after this week, because let's be honest, Halloween is coming. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button, as though you were, well, better yet, as though you were that Minotaur smashing Angel Cakes. But you can also go with Sky trying to get at Sturm.